Before we begin, I do have to apologise for the darkness of this side of the room on the side of my face. At the moment, I'm saving up for a kind of miniature studio light or something to stick on a mic stand or something just so it can give me a little bit more light on this side of the room because the sun's there, but there's nothing there. Anyway, with that said, greetings and salutations, my beautiful people, and welcome to my other show on my other channel called Regarding, which is where I just talk about random things and topics in gaming and music and movies and all sorts of things. So, today's Regarding is regarding something that people have been asking me about a lot, actually, which is my opinion on David Hayter not being the voice of Snake in Metal Gear Solid 5. And I'll preface this entire video by just saying this. I don't mind. Does that make me a bad Metal Gear Solid fan? I don't know, maybe not, but I see it in this, so just kind of listen to why I think this. First of all, no disrespect to David Hayter, I love the guy, in all of the movies he's been in all of the writing he's done for some movies and all that kind of stuff, and obviously he's birthed the most iconic, arguably most iconic video game voice of all time. Solid Snake and Big Boss. Everyone knows who the voice is, everyone knows how awesome it is, and yes, it's just brilliant. And obviously when something gets so famous up to a point, it's very easy to make a parody out of it, and it's very easy to make a parody out of it also because it's an overdramatic voice. Nobody can deny that. In the first Metal Gear Solid anyway, it's much more downplayed and gruff, and quite gritty, actually. And then from Metal Gear Solid 2 onwards, when Hayter got the voice nailed and didn't have to strain himself, that's when his delivery seemed to get a little bit sillier in some of the scenes, which is very apparent in the Twin Snakes. Compare the first Metal Gear Solid to Twin Snakes, you'll see exactly what I mean. The difference is just insane. But like I said, it's got nothing to do with the quality of his voice acting or anything. It's still fucking brilliant. It's perfect. David Hayter and Snake go together like two lesbians. So basically my point is David Hayter and Snake work, and I am not denying that for a second, and I do really love the voice, and yes, I'm not going to deny anything for a second. So when I heard the announcement that David Hayter wasn't voicing Snake anymore, why wasn't I bothered about it? Because 3 words. Hideo frickin' Kojima. And personally, I get pretty angry when people are signing petitions to try and change Kojima's mind about bringing Hayter back, and just the whole general idea of anyone getting annoyed over that fact kind of sets me a little bit angry. At the end of the day, I don't play Metal Gear Solid for David Hayter, I play Metal Gear Solid for Hideo Kojima. Like I said, no disrespect to Hayter at all, the guy's awesome, but to say that he's the sole reason I played Metal Gear Solid all my life is a complete lie. I play the games because they're fucking good games, and the stories are good, and the characters are good. And yes, the voice is iconic, but to get up in arms about it, what's wrong with people? It's not going to hinge the quality of any of the story, and it's not going to hinge any of the quality of the final product of Metal Gear Solid 5. It won't. And anyone that thinks that it will is, in my eyes, not very smart, because honestly, it's gonna be an amazing game. And I personally see David Hayter's Snake voice as the cherry on the cake. It's nice, but it's not entirely the whole reason why the dessert works. Hideo Kojima is the guy that makes the games work. And not even that, but nobody knows exactly what happened. We are only going by what Kojima and Hayter are saying. They could have had a pact that they kind of sorted out. They could have had a little bit of a publicity stunt going on. They could have discussed something. It's very easy to just take what one of them says and then turn it all upside down and inside out into a big distressful mess, but at the end of the day, nobody truly knows other than Kojima and Hayter what happened during the whole casting process. And to say that Kojima is making a mistake using another voice actor is very fucking insulting, guys. And also, let's remember, one of Kojima's greatest influences on the entire saga is James Bond. You can see that in Snake Eater, you can see that in all of the games. Even Snake in Metal Gear Solid 1 has a tuxedo as an unlockable suit. The inspirations are very clear. And so, you know what they did in the James Bond movies? They changed James Bond. This is a completely logical thing from what I can see. And I personally respect Kojima's decision. He's the one that's directing the whole thing, and if he feels that he doesn't want Hayter voicing Snake, then by all means, he can do what he wants. It's not gonna hinge the quality at all. It will be sad not to hear the familiar voice again and everything, but to say I'm not going to get Metal Gear Solid 5 or sign a petition to tell Kojima that he's wrong, it's just... that is wrong, guys. That is really fucking wrong. Oh, and before I say this next point, spoiler alert. Just saying. Basically, I was talking to a friend about this as well, and I used the argument that in Metal Gear Solid 4, this is the spoiler, sorry, if you didn't stop the video in time, Big Boss's voice in Metal Gear Solid 4 is a different voice actor. Makes sense, because he's a bit older, you know? And the fact that, Metal Gear Solid 5 is taking place a good few years after Peace Walker and before, and before Metal Gear 1 on the MSX, the fact that it's bridging that kind of bit, it doesn't surprise me at all that the voice kind of needs to develop into Metal Gear Solid 4, because the jump from Hayter in Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker to Metal Gear Solid 4, it's insane. You need some way to ease people into the aging, basically, and you can't, and Hayter, he can't use Old Snake's voice from Metal Gear Solid 4 on this big boss, because that would look a bit weird, I think. Because if Old Snake in reality is in his 70s or 80s, I haven't played it in a while, I don't really know, in kind of human terms, in his physical state, then what does that make Hayter? Because he needs to do something with the voice, because Big Boss is getting older and he's getting more crushed. So there's not really much else you can do with that voice. And so I completely understand why this is kind of going on. But yeah, then I was told that that was an irrelevant argument because Big Boss isn't quite as old as he is in Metal Gear Solid 4, and the Peace Walker to Metal Gear Solid 5 gap isn't going to be that big, and it's just going to be looking weird. And yeah, but okay, but point aside, basically we're listening to Hideo Kojima here. This is his vision, and for anyone to impede on his vision is... guys, don't. Remember, this is the guy that said that the entirety of Metal Gear Solid 2 was going to be played as Snake, and then you didn't get that, and you know why that was? Very, very clever, because the whole game talks about media, and it talks about memes, and it talks about like the whole just social spread of ideas and the big wide scale of like systems everywhere and information, and the way that he divulged all of the information about Metal Gear Solid 2 and Snake, it was very fucking clever because everyone fell for it, and then you got Raiden in the end, and in the entirety of the game Raiden is constantly lied to, much like the fan base of Metal Gear Solid before Metal Gear Solid 2 actually came out. It's a very, very clever system, so maybe it could even be a publicity stunt. Nobody knows yet, but the fact that people are going so up in arms about the genius that is Hideo Kojima, you gotta think about it, guys. This is the guy that has tricked every single person on planet Earth. Every single person in nearly every single game that he's made, he has tricked people or bended the truth in some way, and people still love the games, and they're still amazing games. So this could be a publicity stunt, there could be more to it than meets the eye, or it's just completely false, or maybe there's a very solid reason. But either way, my opinion, I'm not bothered, and I cannot fucking wait for Metal Gear Solid 5, because to be honest, it may be the best game I've ever played in my life. And it is a shame that Hayter isn't a part of it, but if you are what you call yourself a die-hard fan of Metal Gear Solid, I don't think that insulting Kojima and trying to change his vision of what he wants to do classes you as a caring fan, to be honest, because the games are still going to be awesome. That's the way it is. This video was regarding David Hayter and Metal Gear Solid 5. I am Caddy, and I am signing off.